Thank you for listening to Depictions Media Radio. Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to hear from Dan Cumberland. Dan is a man with a mission. He is an entrepreneur with the mission of helping other entrepreneurs create their businesses in such a way that we don't lose time with our families, that we are focused on what we love and not just focused on that big pile of money. There's more to it than just a big pile of money. Well, don't get us wrong. The big pile of money is probably important to help push along the ideas of our business and things like that. But what if we didn't have to sacrifice what we believe in order to have our own business? What if we didn't have to sacrifice our families in order to make a living? What if we could do what we love and be able to spend time with family and still make a living and have a well-rounded home that we just love to be in, with family, friends, and that time that we've all know is so precious to us. So let's welcome Dan to the show and hear his story and hear a little bit about his Video Snap project. Hey, welcome back to the show, Dan. It's always great to see you. And why don't you tell folks the story behind your software and what it actually does for people?
I love it. Thanks so much for having me, Michael. Super excited to chat with you today. So my software is Video Snap, and it is a content repurposing tool to take long-form content and turn it into what I like to call viral-ready video shorts. So short-form video, take the long-form content like a TED Talk or a speech or a webinar or a podcast like this and package it in a way that it'll perform better on social media. All the social media platforms are moving towards shorts. We can talk more about that. But as far as where this came from in my life, I kind of have these two parallel paths. One is software, been in the software world with a few different projects over the years, and parallel to that, I've also been working with people around themes of fulfillment, meaning, purpose in their life, but more recently focused on helping entrepreneurs find the pace that works for them as they build their business to avoid the $1 million mistakes of burnout, of quitting too early, of hustling too hard, and basically having their wheels fall off. I have an accelerator program all about that called Bootstrap Without Burnout, and also a podcast, the Meaning Movement podcast. One of the growth challenges that all podcasts face is discoverability. It's not easy to find new listeners. Podcast players don't necessarily support discovering other podcasts. You have to kind of find other ways to get in front of new listeners. So I knew that I was making all this long form content, having these great interviews like we're doing here, and having these really great moments, but needed to find more ways to get those great moments in front of more potential listeners. And so started looking at social media, started seeing the trends that all the directions that the social media platforms were building. Short form video has been on the rise with YouTube Shorts coming out in the last year or so.
Mm-hmm.
The rise of TikTok, Instagram Reels, Facebook Stories, etc. All the platforms are loving video shorts right now, short form video. So I went to my podcast, looked at my content, and said, how can I repackage this material and get it in front of into a package that works best for social media, into this new format. Worked with a team that I've gotten to know, 923.co. They are a web and mobile development agency. So partnered with them on this project and brainstormed around how can we make this content more engaging? How can we make it easier for people to extract these moments, these really gold moments from this long form content? And then how can we make the end product, the video, really neat, really engaging? And so what the platform does, you upload your long form piece, it will transcribe it for you so you can just go through and find those moments that really stand out. Then you can just select the text in that transcription, hit a button, and the software grabs that section from the source file for you. It breaks it into these scenes, puts text over video, and if you uploaded a video, it'll start with that video. We assume it's someone talking, talking head kind of style, and then it fills in the rest with B-roll that's sourced via AI from a library based on the conversation that's happening, the words that are being spoken. So then the end result is a text over video style, over footage style video, where you'll see the person talking, you'll see the captions, and then it's cutting to other footage to fill out the picture, fill out the story that's being told. And then you're able to just put that into social media, and it's much more engaging than just someone talking or just a long form piece that wouldn't do as well in the algorithm.
Wow. That's amazing stuff. Because I'll be honest with you. Okay, so our podcast platform, we get about 14,000 downloads a day.
Wow.
Which in some respects is amazing, right?
Yes,
then
that's a lot.
When people hear that we're a media only company, they're like, "Oh, well, then you're not really so big after all, are you?" And it's like, we always have to have our naysayers, right?
yes, right.
The thing of it is you hit this ceiling. And how do you get past the ceiling? So a product like this is exciting because you can put it in front of new people, and until you get a product in front of new people, you're probably not going to break the ceiling, right?
Yes, exactly. So, that's exactly right.
So that's exciting for anybody who's doing podcasting.
100%.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have a podcast, but you're doing a lot of podcast guesting, it's a really popular way that people are marketing right now. Authors are doing podcast tours, and public speakers, people building a personal brand. Even for them to take the podcast guests, interviews that they've done, and then repurpose that content rather than having to create new content. They've already, especially when you're in an interview, right? You're being asked questions that are interesting and engaging, and you're coming up with different answers that you would just filming it all by yourself, right? Or with your team. And so you're having this like co-created content that's fresh. So this tool allows you to take that fresh content and then get it in front of more people.
Yeah. So that is totally cool. Now, I know that you've worked on bigger projects and everything, according to your profile. That you've been doing business for a long time.
Yes.
And you hit a period where you had a loss. You suffered a loss.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you recover from the loss? What's the story there?
I appreciate you asking that. The beginning of 2022, it felt like my whole life kind of fell apart. Going into 2022, Video Snap was just in concept stage, and one of my business partners and I had another project, Trust Scout, which was kind of the main focus up until that. So I was working on the Meaning Movement, I was working on Trust Scout. We're starting to kind of dream about launching this Video Snap thing, and like the growth trajectory with that other software was really, really good going into the year. We had big plans, a big marketing plan that we were rolling out at the beginning of 2022. And then it felt like the beginning of the year, just everything fell apart. My grandmother passed away. One of my business partners in that other project decided to move on to other things. My accountant was battling cancer, and he passed away. That marketing plan that we had and our growth trajectory with that software all kind of came down crumbling. And I had been just really hustling really hard to push all these things forward, and it felt like everything just fell apart. And I kind of felt like I had this feeling of like kind of looking up, right? Like I'm at my desk just working, and I look up and look out the window, and like couldn't really recognize the terrain I was in. It was like as if I'd been on this road just charging straight ahead and had lost track of where I was going, and had this moment of just kind of personal like recalibration to really ask, is this what I want to be doing? And is this, the direction that I want to be going? And what emerged from that is just this realization that so often we sacrifice our short term, like our day in, day out life to a life that we don't love in order to get to some destination that may never come. And that's what it was in my life. I thought we were going to break through the ceiling with that other software, that it was 2022 was going to be a great year on the business side, and none of that really came to fruition. And it took like kind of all these things falling apart to make me realize, okay, if that future isn't going to happen necessarily, if it's not a surefire bet, then how differently should I be living my life right now, knowing that future is unknown? Really came to understand that I was experiencing burnout, did a deep dive on what it means to experience burnout, and now I've been passionate about helping people like myself avoid those kinds of moments and find a better pace that works for us day in, day out, so that we can love our lives now, not just in the future. And so I really am passionate about this cross section of the Venn diagram of your business and what it takes to run your business, and your personal life, and living a life that you love. And so often we fall into the media just lifts up these stories of like people who just, the hustle culture, I like to call it, just, churning and burning and working yourself ragged. And that's what it takes to grow your business. And I'm trying to elevate this other narrative that you can choose the pace that works best for you and define success for yourself on more than just financial metrics. And that when you do that, you find that life is a lot more fun, and that you're able to ultimately go faster and further because you're doing it in a way that you can sustain it for longer, rather than hitting these burnout moments, hitting these walls, and have everything fall apart around you.
Yeah. I know a lot of business owners that hit that burnout, and they find out that the whole thing is like a house of cards. It like falls in, and then I've known others that they built their business from the heart up, and and the foundation is strong.
Yes, I love that. I love that how you said that, from the heart. Build it from the heart up. That's such a great way to say it, and it's totally true. And when you're just more resilient in those, when you have that the heart behind it, and when you can love your business for what it is right now, not what it's going to give you at some point in the future.
Yeah. Because I've built our business the same way. I think this is how part of how we found each other is because we built our business under that same model, just two different types of businesses. But I've also found that if you build, there's one way you can build a business where your family's like sitting there waiting for you, and there's another way you can build your business where your family kind of joins in and everybody gets into the happiness circle,
Yes.
And that's what it sounds like you have.
Yes, totally. And I mean that's something I think about a lot. Is every minute that I'm giving to the business is time away from my family. And I have 3 kids. They're 7, 4, and 2 at this time. And their childhood only happens once, and it's happening right now. And if I'm not present for it, then I better be doing something that I love, to remove that if I'm going to give that time to something besides them, it better be something that I love, and it better be something, it needs to be something that is setting us up for success, setting them up for success in the future. It really does, like you're saying, kind of change the way you think about life. And I'm always thinking about, like, how do I bring them more, how do I educate them more about what it means to be an entrepreneur? How do I raise them in a way that teaches them some of these skills that then they can use and be successful in their lives in the future?
Yeah. Especially at that age, they absorb everything, right?
Yes, yes. It's so fun. My son, who's 7, he loves Legos, and he's done a couple different entrepreneurial endeavors to buy new Lego sets. It like motivates him, and so he'll say, I want this or that Lego set. I'm like, okay, well, how much money do you have? And he'll go count his money, and they're like, okay, well, how much do you need? And then we think about what could you do to get that money? And then he comes up with an idea. He's made bookmarks. He's sold banana bread. He's made sauerkraut for people. So he's always coming up with these ideas, and then he goes out and he has to. We have him make offers to people that we know. He can ask our friends if they want to buy things. They can say no if they want to, and everybody's usually just really supportive of it. And it's really fun to kind of get him kind of flexing those entrepreneurial muscles and making a pitch. So a experience I never had as a kid.
Yeah. It sounds like not only are you creating a new business now, but you're creating a new business in the future.
There you go. Yes, indirectly, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Okay, so you're going about distributing your software a little bit differently than a lot of others. Now, I've had some experience in the mobile app realm where how we did it at this one particular company was we'd find a client who had this huge need, and we just fill their need, and we were the coders. The 6-gun coders, we show up and shoot your need down in your app, and you already had the audience, but you're creating your audience at the same time. So tell us a little bit about how you've created how you're getting the software to a specific audience.
Yes, that is a great question. So starting out of the gate, when we brought on almost our entire first 50 users were all done before we even had a functioning. I mean, you could say we didn't have a functioning funnel. If you went to our website at that point, videosnap.io is a robust site now, but at that point it was basically just a landing page that kind of said, here's repurpose your talks, put your email here to be notified when we go live or something like that. And so what we did is we thought about, okay, who are the people that would most use our software? They're content creators, they're professional speakers, authors, people who are building a personal brand, and they're also podcast guests and podcast hosts and podcast production companies. So then we thought about who are the people that are, what are the tools that those people are using, what are the other companies that are talking to them, and then who do we know who has those people in our audience. And then we built a webinar presentation where we talk all about the opportunity of video shorts. We talk all about how you can repurpose your content. We do a deep dive on a few different creators who are using repurposed content to build their personal brands, people like Gary V and some of the major social media influencers. A lot of their content, you look at it and it's mostly repurposed from other things. And so we kind of present this opportunity, show how all the platforms are elevating and emphasizing short form video and how it's delivering results for business owners. And then we show, here's an easy way to go about and capture this kind of tidal wave of momentum that's happening towards video, that you can capitalize on this movement without having to do a ton of extra work. It's this tool called VideoSnap. You can do this on your own. You can repurpose everything that we taught you and showed you. All still applies, but here's a really simple way to do it. We built this tool to make this easier for us. And then demo of the software, and then we have an offer, an annual offer. So that raises the ticket price, if you will. Also have some training that goes along with it on how to use the software, how to think about repurposing, et cetera, and so then we take that offer and we approach people who are communicating, who have audiences, email lists of these types of people, and we do a joint venture or affiliate webinar. So we go on, do the presentation, much like we're on a call here today, and then offer, split the revenue with the affiliate partner. And that's how we've been building, most of our users. We've also been doing a lot of just direct outreach, reaching out to people who we see online, doing podcast guesting, people who are podcast bookers, anyone who's in the space who is creating content or talking to people who are creating content, and see if there's ways to collaborate. Show them our software. Ask them if they know anyone they can introduce us to. So very much like it's a bit of a manual process, but a little bit slow growing. But we're finding the right, what I think of it as the right users, and also it gives us an opportunity to really fine tune what we're doing before we start spending a lot of money on paid ads and paid acquisition, because it wouldn't be money well spent if we just throw a bunch of traffic at a landing page that isn't well optimized, and get people onto a free trial that doesn't convert people to a paid trial. It would just be a waste of money.
Yeah. We've all done those marketing plans or those marketing ads that led to nowhere, just to see if there was an interest. But it sounds like you have people who have more than an interest. They actually have you found the river of the people that have the need. So doing a thing that would, with a broken system, just isn't going to work.
Yes, totally. Yep, exactly right.
Yeah. So you're gathering these people in, and they're also going to eventually, I would assume, help you actually find bigger audiences, right?
I mean, that would be the hope, that people, as they use the software, they become so enthusiastic about it that they would share it with other people that they know. They would make connections with us and for us to other people who would who have audiences that we could leverage. That's exactly right.
Yeah, so here's one of the problems, and I didn't even know this was a problem as a podcaster, because our business model is so different than, say, coaches and consultants. But we have all these coaches and consultants out there who decide they've heard this, that if I create a podcast or if I create this video blog, that people are going to come.
Yeah.
And they get started down the road, they get maybe 10 episodes in, and then somebody pointed out to me, he was another marketing guy, he pointed out to me, he said, "You've been doing this for 7-8 years. You're an anomaly. How does that work?" That most podcasts only last a year and they die out. They don't even last a year. He said they die out before their first year.
Yes.
I was like, so if these people are able to repurpose what they've already recorded, they get a longer life out of the content, don't they?
Absolutely true. I mean, and I think that's one of the reasons why podcasts die, is because they're hard to grow, and and because they're hard to grow, it's hard to get people to convert to take action. You think about when people are listening to podcasts, they're driving in their car or they're out on a run. They're not necessarily at their computer ready to click on something or engage deeper with something, and so it's really hard to get those people to stop, turn off the treadmill, and then go to this URL on your phone. People don't do that, so it's really hard to activate that audience to take action on whatever it is you're trying to promote. And so by using podcasts less as a tool to get people to take action, but instead as another part of your business, I think is a really good strategy to build trust, to build relationships with other, with guests, other hosts, build relationships with your audience, and then also as a content generation tool that then you can use a tool like Video Snap to take that content that you're creating and then repurpose it into other parts of your business. Put it on social media. On social media, people are more likely to take action, more likely to click on things, more likely to go and visit your website, click on your profile, all of those things. And so it's a way to use the podcast to make the content, and then use a tool like Video Snap to distribute it and get it a bigger reach. Wow.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. I do know from experience that the reason why our podcast platform has lasted as long as it is because it's a trust issue. People trust that I'm going to get good quality information by listening to what it is that's being interviewed in each of our shows.
Yes, exactly.
So, that's and you're helping these others out there convert to to using VideoSnap, they're converting their and repurposing their content so that they create that same trust, and thus they're able to sell whatever the other products are that they're trying to sell.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Wow. You got to be on the genius level to come up with an idea like that.
I hope so. I feel like the time is right. Like I said, the platforms are all moving this direction. A lot of people are thinking about, how do they get more out of the content that they're already creating. And so I really feel like the time is right. It's right now for a product like VideoSnap, and I'm hoping that I can help it become a household name for people like yourself or anyone who's creating content online. That it would be the go-to resource for their repurposing and to get more out of the content they're already making.
Okay, so all right, so we got our VideoSnap. How do we start the process of actually signing up for it and getting our content in there? How does all this work?
I love it. Yeah, great question. So if you just go to videosnap.io, you'll see on the website there's a couple buttons to start a free trial. You can just put your email address in and just try out the software. You can see everything that the software does. It'll have a watermark on it while you're on the free trial, but otherwise all the features are already available for you. And the way that the process works, you'll see a button to upload your source file, which can be like a podcast, can be a talk, a webinar, whatever it might be. On the trial, it has a 15-minute limit on that length. On the full, when you're a paid customer, it's 45 minutes. The only reason we have a limit on it is the longer your piece is, the longer it can take to transcribe it, and it can slow things down. My team likes to splice things up, and this is one of the reasons why I don't think I shared this, of why I created VideoSnap. We started doing this with my team internally, and I had a woman who was doing content for me. Then I had an editor. The content person would go through a transcription, identify the timestamps, give them to the editor. The editor would pull the clip, get it back to the content person. She would approve it. He would add transcription to it, but then the transcription inevitably wasn't perfect. And then we have to think about B-roll, finding B-roll, dropping it all in. It's just so many layers of complexity. And so with VideoSnap, it simplifies all of that. You upload your source. It's all transcribed there, and all you need to do is just highlight the section that you want to make into a snap, hit a button, and it creates that short for you. We call them snaps in the software, video snap. But yeah, that's the process.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the process you just described.
Yes.
Because you're always trying to find ways to get people to come back and listen again, or want them to share things. So, out of the people that have been using it, have they gotten more people to share? It's like, oh, that was cool. I'll share that with my 300 friends over here.
I love it. Yeah, such a good question. What we know is that before I was using VideoSnap, and since we're early, I don't have a lot of data yet from users, because we don't always get to see how the users are using the software. But I have my own podcast from when before I was using it across social media. I would post, but I would be very half-hearted about it because it took so much work, and I was getting a few thousand impressions, and I can show you the analytics for this. I looked at the 90-day window before I started. It was about 1,400 impressions across my social media. Not very much, and also it was really disheartening, and I wouldn't stick with it because it was like, well, no one's interacting with this. I'm having to work so hard to create it. We started implementing VideoSnap, and VideoSnap, I haven't had anything go viral. I've had only a few hundred, maybe a couple that have gotten up to 1,000 impressions. But because the process is so easy, what it changes is that it makes it a constant stream of new content that I'm able to create. And so one of the major results is that now, looking back over the last 90 days, I checked my analytics beginning of January, looking back on the last 90 days, we had 64,000 impressions across social media from my content. So just that huge increase. I mean, it's like a 4,000% increase in impressions. Some of those, are people resharing, but some of them are people commenting. But what I know for sure is that people are watching, people are seeing it, it's in their timeline, they're being reminded that I exist, they're being reminded that they listen to the podcast, they're finding new ideas, new inspiration throughout the day, and it's another channel to continue to build the business and build the brand.
Okay, so you also have a movement, and so let's talk a little bit about that, because now that you got like 64,000 impressions, that movement's going to come to life, right?
yes. So yes, that's the hope, right? Like, and that's really why I created this, is to scratch your own itch problem. I want to reach more people with my message of building to being an entrepreneur by defining success in your own terms, not just buying the mainstream media. You either have to have a venture-backed unicorn, or you have to just grind and hustle yourself to death. That there is another way between those two options. That's self-paced, where you're able to define success in the ways and the metrics that make sense for you. And again, to avoid by doing that, you avoid burnout. You build a business that you can love for the long haul, which then also becomes more profitable for you, because you're doing it for longer, you're staying with it, and so you're making more money because you're able to stay with it for longer, and you're enjoying the process so at such a deeper level than you would otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. We were lucky to find a couple of unicorns along the way.
Yes. It's always nice to have a unicorn. Yeah. But they're hard to find.
Very hard to find.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get in. Sometimes it's hard to get in the room with the unicorn. To be totally honest with you. And that was one of the things that we, one of the hurdles that we had to get over, was getting in the room with the right people that would want to be a sponsor.
Yes. Yes.
Well, once you got in the room with the sponsor, a lot of times it was a lot easier to get them to say yes, but it was getting into the room. So with your movement and everything, right? And of course you've upped the level of impressions and everything with your video snap, and is it getting easier and easier for people to recognize your movement and what it is you're trying to do for people?
Yeah, that is such a good question. I think it is. It kind of comes in parallel. As I've been doing this, launching Video Snap, I already kind of told that story of 2022 for me, which was just such a hard year. Yeah. And kind of had this wake up call moment. As I had that wake up call moment, I took a hard look at what I was doing with the meaning movement, which had been focused broadly on meaning, purpose, fulfillment. And I really decided I don't want to talk broad. I want to talk very specific to entrepreneurs, to self-funded or bootstrapped entrepreneurs in particular. Not that I'm opposed to funding at all, but it just gives you have more choice over how you run your business. And so really focus the meaning movement on that demographic. Just launching, actually, at the time of this recording, next month, I'm launching my first round of the accelerator, which is, my working title is Bootstrap Without Burnout. And I'm have 5 people that are opted in right now who are mission-driven entrepreneurs. They're building something that they're passionate about, and they're all asking, these kinds of questions around, how do I have a go-to-market strategy that I can balance with my family life? How do I, scale my business in a way that feels authentic to who I am and the way that I want to be building a business, not just following the guru's advice. And how do I overcome some of the hard things that have happened in my business and find my own what I want my business to be. Some of these kinds of questions that we're building this community of these mission-driven entrepreneurs to really work as a sounding board for each other and somewhat of a board of directors. And what I'm most excited about right now in this is that community that is beginning to form. And so with all of that said, I think that in tandem with the work that I'm doing with Video Snap, people are starting to find me more and more. And I think it's a combination of putting more out there on the internet, on social media, and also having a more clear demographic that I'm speaking to with a more present problem of how do we avoid burnout, how do we define success, and how do we build businesses for the long haul.
Yeah. So what is the ultimate goal of success for Dan?
Oh, I love that. Yeah. I break it down into a few different categories. One is I want to have a financial future for my family that helps us live a quality of life that affords us the opportunities that we want to have, especially for the kids. I think a lot about my kids and their future, set them up for that, but not just financial. I think of relationships. I'm a very relational person. I like to have to feel like the people in my life are people that I'm invested in, that I have time to invest with them in them. I think about my family, specifically the relationships within my family, to be able to be the kind of dad that I want to be available, to feel like I see my kids and am able to love them and guide them into becoming adults in the best way possible. That's something I think about. I think about a lot. And then to do all of that, with a good sense of fulfillment and joy along the way. That's the short version of it. One diagnostic question that I like to ask myself and people, in the accelerator is, if you had to live the last 90 days of your life on repeat, how would that feel? And would you be happy and have feel fulfilled doing that? And if the answer is no, then the question is, so how do you want to live your next 90 days? And what changes do you need to make to adjust course? And I find that's really helpful. You have to think in a 90+ day time span, both looking back and looking forward, because you need to some days are hard. Hard things happen. Yeah. Sometimes my kids aren't in good moods, and sometimes I'm not in a good mood. So I can't judge based on just one single day. But if you look back on the larger time frame, if you zoom out a little bit, you begin to see these themes emerge, and then that you can use that to guide your decisions, moving forward. So that's one question I like to ask, and people, if that resonates with people, would love to talk with you more about what that what changes would you like to make in your business, and how I can help you bring more alignment between the business that you're building and the life that you're living.
Yeah. So before we run out of time, I want to get this question in here. And what does Dan stand for? As a person, what do you stand for?
Oh, that is a great question. I believe that everybody has something to say, a gift to give the world, something that we're here on earth to do. And if there's one thing that I stand for, it is helping people find that and give voice to it and find outlets to bring it to life. That's the simplest explanation I can give.
It's pretty simple. Okay, so if we want to work with you and we want to have access to VideoSnap, it's videosnap.io. Any other ways to get a hold of you and work with you?
Yes, I love it. So with VideoSnap, I mentioned I'm building VideoSnap with this agency, this venture studio, 923.co. That's the numbers spelled out. And so I've partnered with them to build VideoSnap, and then since we launched VideoSnap, I've been helping them bring new clients, build new software. So if you're looking to build a web or mobile app, I'd love to talk to you about that. You can reach me at dan@923, the number spelled out, .co. And regarding the coaching, consulting, and accelerator program that I'm doing for entrepreneurs, you can find all of that at themeaningmovement.com. And I have an assessment to help you understand burnout and how you might be experiencing symptoms of burnout in your day-to-day life. That's available at themeaningmovement.com/start. And I'm really active on LinkedIn. I write a lot about these kinds of ideas, and would love to connect with anyone listening there as well.
Oh, awesome. Hey, thanks for coming for joining us today. This has been a really fun time, and we'll have to do it again sometime. Especially after you get the next part of your accelerator started. Let's hear more.
Sounds great. I love it. Thank you so much for having me, Michael. It's really fun to connect with you, and really appreciate the chance to be on the show.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. And wherever you see that subscribe button, click it so that you can get more shows just like this and get to hear from more people like Dan. This show has been produced by Depictions Media. Please contact us at depictions.media for more information.